Welcome to the first Skeeter Bass Champs Talk podcast for 2026. Man, I hope everybody had a great break during the winter. Happy New Year, all of that good stuff. Jeff, good to have you back on the podcast. And man, we have got an exciting 2026 season to talk about.
We do. Happy New Year, John.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And so on this podcast, we're going to do a lot of talking.
Okay.
About Bass Champs 2026. We're going to talk about the new Skeeter bonus money structure and a new loyalty cash. We're going to talk about a really badass side pot. We're going to talk all about forward-facing sonar and the rule decisions that have been made for forward-facing sonar with Bass Champs, which I know I've been getting a lot of text about. I'm sure you've been answering a lot of questions too. But before we get into all of that, and we're going to have a giveaway. So, and I'm not going to tell you where it's at. And in order to qualify for this giveaway, you have got to put a comment down about what the giveaway was. You've got to share this podcast with one of your friends, and you've got to like it, and you've got to be a subscriber. And having said all of those things, the first thing that we really wanted to touch base on is we started this podcast in 2025 for a very specific sole purpose. And that was to get real pertinent information from the tournament director, Jeff Welch himself, about Bass Champs. So this is not a podcast where we're looking for millions of views. We're not trying to go viral. We're really trying to hit a very specific audience, and that audience is you. That's people who fish Bass Champs, and we love to see you at each and every one of our tournaments, whether it's a big bass tournament or a regular season. That's people who may want to fish Bass Champs that have never fished with us before, and that's all of the people that are curious about Bass Champs that maybe don't even fish a tournament, but maybe just fish our big bass tournaments. We're doing our best to get you as much information so that your angler experience when you fish Bass Champs is the best angler experience that you can have. So if you ever have any questions about anything, you're welcome to email Bass Champs directly. You can find that information on the website. You're welcome to place a comment down in the comment sections, and we'll go through those and see if we can answer your questions, because this is your one opportunity to talk to Jeff Welch, the tournament director himself, and get all of those anglers, get all of those answers. Because we know, in 2026, you've got a lot of options on where to fish competitively. And dude, we are so fortunate in Texas, especially North Texas. We have more choices and more tournaments that we can choose to fish than any other place in the nation. Hands down. Lots of great tournaments to fish. Jeff and I fish some of them. We love to tournament fish. We don't get to fish Bass Champs, so we go fish other tournaments.
Have that option.
But the one thing that we want to really get across to you is when you're making that choice of who I'm going to fish with for 2026, every one of our Bass Champs tournaments, we want it to be the best angler experience that it can possibly be for you. Okay. And we go to extreme lengths to make that happen. We want every tournament to feel like a championship event. From our live broadcast that we're doing now so that your friends and family can watch at home when you're weighing in your fish, to how the weigh-in line is conducted, how the bump tank is conducted, how long you stay in that weigh-in line, how well the fish are kept and released back into the lake so that you can catch them again. We want every aspect of that to be the best experience you can have. And all of these new changes for 2026 that we're going to make is partly because of the feedback we've gotten from you. Isn't that right, Jeff? John. So we're going to dive in and tell you why we think 2026 is the year that you should fish with us on Bass Champs. And the first thing we're going to talk about, if you own a Skeeter boat, you've got to fish Bass Champs.
It pays for sure. It's lots of money.
It pays to fish. It pays to fish Bass Champs out of a Skeeter bass boat. Now, that's not to say that you can fish Bass Champs out of any bass boat or any boat that meets the requirements in the rules that you want to. Because I'm the first person to say this. The bass have no idea what kind of bass boat you're fishing out of. If Skeeter if bass bit more fishing out of a Skeeter bass boat, well, then nobody would ever buy any other bass boat ever made. But that's just not how it works. But if you fish out of a Skeeter bass boat in Bass Champs, we've got some bonus money and a new loyalty cash that Jeff wants to tell you about that is really, really cool.
And you and I kind of talked about it some in 2025, but we took a look from last year. We guaranteed $15,000 in Skeeter bonus cash at every event. Still doing the same thing for 2026, but we made it a little more horizontal. And by that, last year it was $10,000 for the highest finisher and a qualified Skeeter, $5,000 for the second qualified Skeeter. We kind of moved that out a little more horizontal. This year, it's still 15 grand every event, but it's 8,000, 4,000, 2,000, 1,000. And look, here's the deal. We all want to win. But even in my short fishing career, I got a lot more seconds than I got first, a ton more thirds.
Me too.
I got a plethora more of tenths. And at the end of the day, spreading that money out a little, it's still 15 grand. It's still a significant amount of cash. 8, 4, 2, 1 instead of 10 and 5. I think it's going to be well received, and it's something we heard from. As you mentioned, we're always trying to make the angler experience better, and that was something that was discussed, and even some at the championship. That's when you and I were talking, and thought, all right, it's time to move this structure a little. Take the same amount of money, just move it around a little.
Yeah, because we want everybody that took the time and money to get into a Skeeter boat to qualify for that bonus cash. We want you to have more opportunities to take part in
exactly.
That
and something else that came up in the last few years is, and I understand it, the qualified Skeeter boat is 3 years from original warranty registration. Doesn't matter how many owners. That's an awesome opportunity. 3 years original from the original warranty registration. But as we're going through the results, and you're up there on the stage giving out these awards, there was always a Skeeter that was 4 years, maybe 5 years, heck, even 10. And it sure been nice to win something. That's where the Skeeter loyalty cash comes in.
Brand new for 2026.
$500.
Yeah.
Any year, the highest finishing any year Skeeter boat at every event, $500. And I think that's really cool. I mean, that could be a old Starfire, or it could be an FXR LE that's just 1 year out. They're looking to get into a new boat, but I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and again, more ways to win money.
I still get on Facebook Marketplace and I Google up old Starfires. I mean, it's just one of the things that I want to buy an old Starfire, and I want to redo it like an old classic car.
My first bass boat, Starfire 150.
That's just, true to my heart. But that's very cool with the loyalty cash, because literally we've had guys, oh my gosh, I was like 5 days out. I owned it for 3 years and 5 days.
And now
you're going to get $500.
Better than nothing, and I think it's going to be very well received throughout the season.
And right now, there's never been, if you did want to get into a Skeeter boat, and here comes our little commercial for the podcast, because Skeeter is our title sponsor. Right now, there's never been a better time to buy a Skeeter, because it's up to $5,000 or 3.79% financing for 72 months, or 4.99% financing for 180 months. Plus, you get a $1,000 gift card to Tackle Warehouse. Now, the Fun and Sun Boat Show is coming up next week. We're going to have a podcast next week talking all about that. Yeah, and they're going to add some stuff even on top of that to incentivize you to get into a new Skeeter bass boat.
Those some pretty strong incentives right there. I mean, we've heard it for the last few years. Interest rates are too high. We've heard, there's not enough rebate. There's not enough this. I think they really stepped out there, and it should make this boat season prior to the fishing season getting started. Should make it a strong sales season.
And, at the boat show, you can check out the new ZXE. You can check out all the Skeeter bass boats. They'll actually be representatives from the Skeeter dealership, from the Skeeter plant there to answer all of your Skeeter questions. And at Fun and Sun, you can have the $1,000 Tackle Warehouse card, or you can just take the $1,000 and use it right there at their probably one of the best stocked tackle stores, local tackle stores in the Metroplex, hands down. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's run by fishermen, so they know exactly what to stock.
Phil has got that tackle store on point over there, so that's awesome.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, every time I go down there, I find myself spending $400 or $500. But great time to buy a Skeeter. Great time to win Skeeter money. fishing Bass Champs. And, just to be perfectly clear, you don't have to fish out of a Skeeter to fish Bass Champs. It just pays more to fish out of a Skeeter.
We try to incentivize it to where you definitely want to consider a Skeeter because it's a lot of money. I mean, you can look back on last season prior to that. There's a ton of incentive money for running a Skeeter boat.
There's a lot of guys that made a lot of money last year.
And something else, because it's on my mind, and I know you were going to go there, but John came to me last year, and man, we need to do some type of side pot.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I am so, and I got to tell you, there was some arm twisting on my end.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the full back. I just didn't want to do another side pot. I'm like, man, side pots. I thought about side pots 10 years ago from saltwater tournaments and whatnot, and some people ran with them. No big deal. But I just didn't want to do another side pot. So that was my challenge to John. I said, all right, I'm in on the side pot, but it just can't be another. Hey, pay in some more. We'll do 100%, paid at whatever ratio, and we're going to add it in. I said, it doesn't excite me. Maybe it does some. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. But that's where I challenged you. And John, what'd you come up with?
Well, having been that guy, I mean, I can't tell you how many seconds and thirds I've had. Only one Bass Champs, fishing the Bass Champs tournament trail, but lots of seconds, lots of thirds. But even more, I just finished one place out of the money. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've finished one place out of the money. And so I thought, you know what? How cool would it be to have a side pot that started at the first place out of the money? Just enough money to get back your entry fee, get back a little gas money. You're not taking home a bunch of money, but it's just a little bit of money to recoup all of the expenses you did to go fish that tournament. So what did you end up deciding to name?
Second chance side pot. And I love it. It starts, it pays more anglers, more places. You can make the argument, you join the side pot and you finish fifth, and man, it's sure been nice to even get more money. But once again, as we open this podcast, reality is you're going to get 28th, way more. It's how it works than fifth.
Sure. Me.
Sure. So this side pot pays 1 in 5. It's 100% optional. It's 100% payback. It's $100. We're going to start paying it for right after the normal payback. It'll be the first out, and obviously you have to be in it to be eligible. And it's just going to be fun. And like you said, you say there's not much money in it, but I could see that paying $500 to $900 depending on how many people are in it per place. And hey, that just paid you for your weekend for the option to fish for $25,000. And I'm all about it because I realize I get 35th, and I did this winter way more than I got in the top 5. So, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's optional, and it's got second chance side pot. We'll see how it goes. You can sign up online that way already. It's already on our online registration, and you can do it right there on site on Fridays. And speaking of Fridays, we've talked about it, but no Friday practice this year, John.
No Friday practice this year. Just one little side take on the side pot. The thing I like about it is it's always nice to go home with a little bit of money to cover those expenses.
Like money, yeah.
So if a tournament pays out 20 places, and then that side pot pays out another 5, 10, 15, we just made 15 more guys' day by taking that check home. And so I hope it goes over well. I'm really looking forward to seeing the angler feedback on that. I know for $100 I'm always in on a side pot. And I'm always in on side pots with other tournament trails that offer them. I'm going to get in the side pot anyway because I always feel like I have a chance to win. But I love the fact that this side pot doesn't still pay the top 15, 20 guys. It pays the first person out of the money. And I think, that's just, the thing I've always loved about Bass Champs is you guys are always trying stuff that is new and different. And I just love this idea. I think
we've got some crazy ideas over there. Some of them worked out. Some of them I could forget for sure. But no, I think this is going to be really, really well received. And we're going to find out here in about a month, a little over a month. Lake Fork.
We'll find out. And to kick it off, to kick the side pot money off, this is what Jeff and I have decided to do for this first podcast. If you are a subscriber to our channel, if you like the podcast and you also comment on the podcast. And one last thing, share it with a friend, share it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever your social media platform is. We are going to give you a free side pot to the first tournament you fish. So like, let's say you can't make the first one at Fork and you got to make the second one. We'll hold that side pot money for you. So somebody watching this that does all of those things will get into the side pot. So we've already got one.
Well, hey, the good news is to me, I'm not real computer literate, so that sounds like about $100 worth of work, John. Like, share, send, but you're gonna get paid well for it. And it's all kidding aside. That's awesome. Yeah, I think it'll be somebody's gonna get a free side pot right off the bat, and hopefully they finish first and don't need it and donate that to somebody else. But I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna add some more places every event, and it's something unique. Like I said, I didn't want to do a standard side pot. It just didn't excite me as an angler or the owner. So
I like that. And of course, we've already announced no
that was
Friday
a big
practice.
deal. I mean, we kind of
that was a big deal.
Went back to our roots, and again, when you change something, for 20 years we had no Friday practice. We tried it. It was received well by some, not so well by others. But at the end of the day, we're trying to put on a tournament, the best tournament we can possibly in the world that we can put on for amateur anglers. Probably the most negative feedback I get are from people that have more time on the water, more flexibility. And man, at the end of the day, that's great. But the rest of us don't sometimes. And I think no Friday practice. Yeah, there you go. Not only that, here's the other.
I don't.
And we've talked about this on the podcast before. No doubt, 99%, probably 100% of every time, the fishing will be better on Saturday. A lot of these lakes especially where we're visiting this year, a lot of North Texas lakes and Central lakes, they're not big. 28,000, 20,000, and just that pressure on Friday. I always say, I'm not going to set the hook. I'm not going to set the hook. Well, how many did you catch? Caught 9. Well, I thought you said you weren't going to set the hook. Well.
Yeah, it was swimming forever. I didn't know what to do.
No, I think going back to our roots with no Friday practice, I really like it, and it's going to level the playing field, which is part of what we've been working on between technology and some of the stuff we're going to talk about in the end of this podcast, where we're headed with that, and this was one way to balance it.
And I'm an opinionated person, and you're going to hear a lot of my opinions later on in this podcast about forward-facing sonar and my thoughts on it. But my big thoughts on the Friday practice is, I am a working angler. So many of us have a job that we have to go to every day, and taking that Friday off was just impossible. And I've heard the argument, oh, well, everybody can take a Friday off. Well, you know what? I'm part of everybody,
right?
And I couldn't do it. Could not take Friday off, and it put a different pressure on me fishing those tournaments, not being able to practice on Friday, that made me not go in as confident Saturday fishing those tournaments. And I really like what you said, Jeff, about the pressure on the water. And everybody that fishes Bass Champs are seasoned fishermen. And they know not to set the hook on Friday. They know to pull up to an area and, there's some fish here. You look at the fish, you look at them with your graphs. You maybe, you're fishing your crankbait or you're fishing hookless and all of those things. But that one boat dock that you went and checked out and set the hook on just one fish, 10 other guys went and set the hook on one fish at that boat dock. And that boat dog is not putting out the next day.
There, check in. I've listened. I can pretty much tell you where the laydown is. It's got the 4-pounder on it. It got caught 5 times. It's just not biting on Saturday. It's a good thing overall. I understand the arguments. Heck, we've had Todd on the show, and other guys, and I get it. They're traveling further distances, but at the end of the day, we're talking about amateur fishermen with limited amount of time. A lot of us with limited resources. And anything we can do to make it more fair, more even, and more fun, I'm all about. That's what we started doing from the beginning. We tried this Friday deal, and I'm not going to say I didn't like parts of it. There was some neat stuff about it. But overall, we need to go back to no Friday practice, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and I like that. And the overwhelming consensus on that has been that
Yes, no, I agree
it's
with
been a
that.
good thing, and the people
Yep,
who don't like it understand it, and the people who like
yep,
it
no
are
question.
applauding it. So you know, that works out. That works out well. Which leads us into what everybody's been asking about. And it's probably, I guess it's got to be the most talked about thing in bass fishing right now. And that's forward facing sonar. Um, Highly
Yes.
opinionated topic. And you and I, along with every other bass fisherman out there, has thought about it in, spent way too much time thinking about it and talking about it. So we have lots of tournament trails, lots of tournament trails doing different things. We've got tournament trails that are limiting it to 3 hours. We've got tournament trails that say you can't use your forward facing sonar until you have a limit in the live well. We have tournaments that are flipping a
Yep.
coin the night before at 11 o'clock to figure out if you can or can't use forward facing sonar. And then we have your tournament trails that just say no forward facing sonar, period. All of that to me, except for the hey, no forward facing sonar period, I'm great with that. If you want to have a tournament trail with no forward facing sonar, I can play by those rules, easily play by those rules, and love doing it. But all of the other ones, I'm like, really? I've got it now. I've really got to play into this and think about this for my entire strategy. And then you have to think, well, hey, can I use forward facing sonar in practice? Because a lot of good forward facing sonar guys will find good fish with forward facing sonar during practice and not use the forward facing sonar in practice, having marked all of those fish. So it's a whole lot of gray area in there on what forward facing sonar can and can't
Yeah.
do and what rules you're abiding by and you're not abiding by. So, what is Bass Champs going to do in 2026
Well, I mean, it's
about
simple,
forward facing
and
sonar?
you just said the gray area. It's got to be one way or the other. There's so much gray area in our
Mhm.
industry right now, and we need 2026, 2027 to just get a little more black or white and settle down a hair. It'd be good for everybody. Uh, I like technology, and we're going forward facing sonar full time for the 2026 season. Again, we could stand up here. I could make arguments both ways till we filled up all the comments, and some people are going to love this, some people are going to hate it. I get it. It's fractured right now, but as much as I mean, you think back to even and people are going to say, oh, it's not the same, but the A rig, yeah, that was a huge deal. Oh, you
Oh
can't throw
yeah.
an A rig, can't throw. I'm thinking, why wouldn't you throw an A rig? I mean, that's the best thing ever. It's people catch more fish, bait companies sell more baits, they sell more rods. It's good for the whole industry. People like it. No, let's eliminate it. I thought, well, that's crazy. So we allowed it. And again, people are saying, oh, A rig and forward facing, but there's all kinds of parallels and arguments you could make between it. But bottom line, 2026 Bass Champs, we're going to have forward facing sonar.
I I gotta think. I gotta say, I applaud that ruling, and if you would have said no forward facing sonar,
Right. And that's kind of the
I
problem
would
where
have
we're at.
applauded
Yeah.
that too. Maybe not as much because I enjoy the technology because I mean, hey, we're OGs in fishing. I'm a little more OG than you, Jeff, so because I'm older than you are, but we still grew up in the fishing world at the same time, and I can remember when paper graphs were just so controversial.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you can see the fish. You can see the fish on that paper graph. That's cheating. You know, and forward facing sonar is technology that's here, I believe, to stay for a while. And it's really interesting seeing the strategy of a lot of fishermen changing with different forward facing sonar rules that have been implemented in different tournaments. But man, I like to keep
Yep.
it simple, and this is simple. You can use it. You can choose
That's
in Bass
correct.
Chance whether you
That's
want to
right.
use
Yeah.
it or not.
Just over 90%
Yeah.
of our field for 2025 has some brand of live scope forward facing sonar on the boat. Now, whether they use it, they don't use it, can't answer that question. But just through doing boat checks in the morning or registration forms, it was like 94% of every vessel that's in the tournament has it. It's like me. I'm not great at it. I spent some time in the off season trying to understand it more. Actually caught a lot more fish doing
Me
it.
too.
Um, I'm an in-betweener, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's the right, I can't, I've kind of balanced my day. How the day's going, great. I mean, I run into a school of them on it. I'm darn sure going to take advantage of it. There are a couple floaters out there. Am I good enough to chase them all around? No, but I'm going to go back and fish how I want to fish and then enjoy my day. And I think some of this balances out with no Friday. Is kind of what we alluded to also. So you're not just spending the whole day out there looking and locating. You got 5 days off limits. I'm not going to say that somebody's not going to land on them. It's just going to happen. Somebody's going to land on a Zara spook too at some point. So, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
Or a
but no,
frog.
no looking back. 2026 forward-facing sonar, legal, all Bass Champs tournaments.
And you bring a really good point up, and this is a conversation I've had with a lot of different anglers, and this is where areas get gray. If you have a Friday practice in a tournament and you can use your forward-facing sonar Friday to locate fish, and you can't use it during the tournament on Saturday, have you broken a rule?
The good news is we're going to stay clear. We're going to stay clear of all that because I try.
We don't have to worry about it.
And hey, I'm not perfect. I try to write black and white rules. I try. And, you and I shared with you a lot of my ideas on how we were going to do this, but ultimately I came back to either we're going to do it or not do it. I'm not saying anybody else is right or wrong.
Yeah.
Anything you mentioned, I mean, it may work wonderful and great. I'd love it for the industry, but for us, it was real easy. I mean, it wasn't easy, but it was easy. I only had two choices. It was, we were going to do it full time or we weren't going to do it full time. And when everything laid out how it was, forward-facing, full-time
Forward-facing sonar, and I think I think that's the right choice to make. I'm sure we'll have a lot of comments about this, a lot of text messages, but I really do think that's
make sure they comment,
that's the way to go.
And
for
all that
Bass
stuff you
Champs.
told them they had to do, and they're going to get a free entry into the
to get that free side pot.
So we got a lot
free
coming
side
up.
pot
I
money.
mean, we've got between the new bonus money, the loyalty cash, this second chance side pot, Lake Fork's coming up real quick, like the 21st, I believe, of February. Got a big boat show in our neighborhood. We've got a lot going on.
And we'll do before we do our Lake Fork inaugural kickoff season podcast. In that podcast, we'll go over all of the different bonus money you can make because there's a lot of different ways to make money.
All this stuff,
Yes.
There's a lot of sponsor incentives that we need to go over. But we were trying to get.
Yeah. Are you called Todd Castledine, and he'll give you the list because he did a great job of it last year.
Change last year, no question about it.
He did. Yeah, and I'm gonna plug our Angler of the Year really quick because. And it goes back to forward-facing sonar. You and I, Jeff, both love to talk about technology, whether it's forward-facing sonar or 360 imaging, or how you're picking up on this or how you're picking up on that or how you're throwing a bait. I mean, that's what anglers do. We talk and we share information. Of course, the Fun and Some Boat Show coming up next week is going to be an excellent place to do that. And I thought I was pretty darn good at forward-facing sonar until I went and fished with Hunter for a day
the invite.
Lake Fork, and I realized
I
was being selfish. I wanted them all to myself. But it's humbling to see how much more you have to learn. And of course, Hunter, being our Angler of the Year last year, he has lots of days on the water, a lot more days on the water than I get to have, in my career. But it's an art, and it's not easy.
That's a whole other discussion.
It is complicated.
But that's the number one problem is, you read through forums and it's so easy. It's video game fishing. Well, I mean, I guess a video game has a screen, and so does your Garmin unit. However, that's the end of the video game comparison because I get frustrated. Yeah. I mean, trying to line up the boat and the cast, and I mean, it's another technique. It's just a very difficult technique to master. Actually, it's a very difficult technique to just get above average. And then I'm not above average yet. I may be average now. And I really spent some days with nothing in my boat but that, just to try to add that as one more tool in my rod box there.
Well, hold on a second. I just had a guest come into the podcast. Lucia, what are you doing? My wife needs a checkbook so we can pay somebody, and she's crawling behind us. Right? Lucia, she just had her knee replaced, and she's crawling back. No, we're not gonna. I'm not gonna have you do that.
Hey, while she's writing checks, my address, Lucia.
While she's writing checks, let's remind everybody that if you comment, like, share, we'll write the check for the $100 for the first side pot. Oh. Here you go. Just take it down to the house with you, and I'll pick it up when I come back. So, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for making a guest appearance on the podcast today. That's what's fun when you're doing recordings live. So, and now we all know what my purpose is at the house, is to provide checks. Okay, so to wrap this thing up, we talked about the Skeeter bonus money, loyalty cash, which is so awesome. So any Skeeter boats, highest finisher is going to win some money. Now, let me ask you about that loyalty cash. Does it matter where you finish? Do you have to finish in the money, or does it matter?
Yeah.
Highest finisher in a non-qualified Skeeter. That's so cool. Side pot, like, comment, share, subscribe, get all of those things done. You got to be in the comments because that's how we find you. You'll get a free side pot entry fee into our first tournament, or the first tournament you fish. And that side pot's just for the regular season tournaments. We're not doing that. Right. There's different side pots. There's different things for the big bass tournaments. Yeah. We talked about forward-facing sonar. That's out in the public now. Everybody knows what our stance is going to be on it for the 2026 season. Big thing is Fun and Sun Boat Show next weekend. It's their in-house boat and tackle show. And lots of tackle vendors, all the electronic guys are out there, all the boat manufacturers are out there. It's free parking, free entry, lots of great fellowship out there. All the tournament trails are going to be out there. The tackle shop's going to be open. They're going to have special incentives if you're looking at buying a brand new Skeeter boat. Then they've, and it's not just Skeeter boats. They've got a bunch of used boats they're doing incentives with. They've got other brands of bass boats that you can look at. So I'll be out there for sure on Saturday, and happy to talk to people and answer questions. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll have a podcast next week, and we'll get Lance from Fun and Sun on that, and we'll really break that down so that you'll know what you can experience in that thing. Yeah.
It's here, buddy. Let's get it on.
2026 is here. It's here. Our very first event's going to be at Lake Fork. I love that lake dearly. It's got a special place in my heart. Love fishing that lake. And we'll have more coming up on that event soon, but we'll wrap this particular podcast up right now. We'll be back next week with a whole breakdown of the Fun and Sun Boat Show. Jeff, Happy New Year again. And that wraps it up for this episode of the Skeeter Bass Champs Dock Talk Podcast.
See you on the stage soon, buddy.
2026. Tight lines, everybody. Yeah.